All right, we'll get rolling. One final speaker here for you, as I know a couple people start trickling in. Sure, when they start hearing me talking, that'll speed them up a little bit further. You know, Don Granato was up here talking about just changes, and you've heard different speakers over this whole week talk about the generational gap and things. Here's a quick story from this past year when you talk about what players are looking for, and they talk about, wow, there's highlights on iPads and players want information delivered a certain way. Colton Parayko just finished a really strong, a terrific rookie season in the National Hockey League. Actually, and he just graduated on Friday. We're in the conference finals, and on an off day, he was leaving hockey practice when we were done with the skate, and he was going to finish studying for exams that he had, and he just finished his couple of courses. He wanted to make sure he finished his promise to his mom and dad that he would finish his classes from University of Alaska, and he did. So he officially graduated from college on Friday. But how smart and just the student of the game it is and how things are. He came to the bench after a shift, looked at Brad Shaw, and said, hey, Sean Farrell is our video coach here in St. Louis, can you have Sean mark that clip for me? I want to see it when we get in during the intermission. You know, so again, you talk about how players want things done. I mean, here's a rookie going to his coach at the end of a shift and saying, mark that one. I want to see it during the intermission. So that is how the game has changed at different times. Couple of announcements for you here. They have surveys in front of you as part of your pack. USA Hockey would like you to fill out those surveys and then drop them off. I guess the drop-off point is right near the top of the escalator out there in the lobby. And then also the sign-out forms that you have, they gave you during that last breakout session. They want you to drop off those sign-out forms and make sure that you sign out at least over in the lobby to the left side. If it wasn't forms, there's a sign-out way for you to sign out over there. So just make sure when you leave, you sign out so they know that you were here and ready to go. Okay, and again, if there are any questions that you have, they did give you those forms. Shoot them down to this side of the room, and I'll get them as we walk up when our next speaker is done. Somebody did ask this question, and this is more for everybody in here. He's a first-time Level 5 attendee, and there were a couple people in some breakout sessions that have attended more. He was just curious how many people in here have attended a Level 5 symposium before. Show of hands there. Okay, so that just gives you an idea, and it was just something he was curious about. Okay, let's bring up your final speaker here for the symposium. He's been part of the Colorado Avalanche coaching staff now for 6 years. He's an assistant coach. I guess we'll eventually find out an assistant coach or some with whom, as the news of this past week came out. But from coaching at the American Hockey League level, the collegiate level, a former hockey scoring champion as well, and also a former assistant coach with Anaheim and with Washington. So a lot more knowledge to throw at you here, and let's bring up Tim Army. Tim, thanks for coming into town.
Everybody hear me okay? Sports are interesting. It was Thursday, and interesting week for the Avalanche. We live in Portland, Maine in the summer. I have a 25-year-old son, a 23-year-old son. My 25-year-old's still playing. Played between the American League and the East Coast League, the ECHL, this past winter. My youngest son just graduated from Stonehill College. He's going to be coaching and teaching at Vermont Academy starting the next couple weeks. And we have them for the most part in the summer, and they were going Thursday. They were going down to Boston. They were going to go see A-Rod play his last game for the Yankees, or his last game on the road for the Yankees. We're big Yankee fans. Yeah, gets that response. I go back to the Thurman Munson days. And love Derek Jeter. My kids are A-Rod fans, and we have a little bit of a dispute about that. But so they were heading down to Boston, so my wife and I are like, this is great. You know, the kids have been around, and whether your kids are 10 or 8 or 25 and 23, you're moving when your kids are at home. So we're like, hey, we'll have a nice quiet night tonight. When you get into your 50s, you do things like you go walk around the back cove outside of Portland, Maine, and you go into the old port and you have dinner, and then you go home and you watch Hogan's Heroes on MeTV, then you go to bed. So I was like, the kids went off. They're heading down to Boston. And I was going to go to the gym in Portland, so I'm driving. Beautiful day, 95 degrees, humid, hot, great summer day. One of those days when it's the dead of winter, you're like, oh, these are the days you can't wait for when it gets to be August. and July in the summertime, so I'm driving through. And just outside of Portland, I'm listening to XM Sirius Radio. I got the 60s on. Some people went to the Paul McCartney concert last night and listened to the 60s, and all of a sudden my phone number pops in. Patrick's calling. And pick the phone up. Patrick says, I just got off the phone with Joe, and I'm stepping down. So the sport is humbling, and you never quite know what's gonna happen next. You always have to be ready for the unexpected. You actually become immune to it, and the longer you're in the game, the more that you see things you haven't seen before. So that was my day on Thursday. The next couple of days were very hectic. And needless to say, the walk around the back cove and dinner in the Old Port didn't go on Thursday night. But it's part of the process, and that's why as coaches, we always are ready for the unexpected, always preparing, and you always have to be thinking ahead of the curve. We're going to talk a little bit about power play today. We'll talk a little bit about every level because everybody's is teaching and coaching at different skill levels. But I will tell you a story, and it's a patient story. What we do when we're at home, if we play on, say, a Wednesday night, we're in a little bit of a homestand. The next day we'll have a power play review. We always do. So we do everything. We look at our breakouts. We look at our playoff face-offs, whether we won the face-off, lost the face-off, regroups, in zone, with possession, without possession, under pressure. We take a good look at the game from the night before. It's a good time for the guys to see it. They do like to see it. So we get through some things. We get through a number of areas that we want to cover. And then we may even work on it that day at the end of practice. And the next day, before pregame skate, we'll have a pre-scout on our opponent. We'll look at their play up ice. We'll look at their play in zone. We'll look at a couple of different situations. We'll look at some face-off plays. And then before the game, we post on the board, we post all of our breakout routes, all of our in-zone positioning, so the guys have a visual of everything. And we just want to make sure that everybody's up to speed. But just like coaching an 11-year-old or a 15-year-old, one of the things that always is a little bit nerve-wracking as we send guys, and we get our first power play, and we send guys out on the ice to start the power play, inevitably we'll have one of the guys, as they're going out the door, will say, Timmy, which way do you want me to turn coming up ice? After all that work, after all that preparation, they still have that, just like when you're coaching younger players, you want to make sure that you're patient, you understand that you're here to teach, guide them, and that's the most important thing. So they're no different at the NHL level, they're no different at the American League level, or in college, or Bantams or Pee-wees. You know, their minds are going. So you want to make sure that you have that patience and you understand that you're there as a guide for them. And you got to make sure you want them to be in a position where they go out and play the best they can possibly play. In your books, you have a little bit of a handout here, all right? And I'm not going to put it up because I'm going to go to some video. Okay, we'll use the video as our guide, but we'll just talk a little bit about a power play. I think with younger players, as you introduce things, the most important things is that they are learning how to possess the puck, how to protect the puck, how to move the puck, how to create little two-on-ones. And at the younger ages, when they're playing cross ice or they're playing half rink, it's really good because it does begin to instruct them in those key areas, which eventually they'll need as they get to situations where they're actually playing on a power play. So that's the most critical instinct. Again, puck protection and using people and moving the puck. And I think as they get a little bit older and as they get towards Pee-wees and Bantams, you can begin to create a little bit more structure. You can begin to put them in positions that would be sort of traditional power play units. And then you can build off of that as they get older. But the really critical elements that when they're young, they're not ready for power plays, but they do need to learn. And you've been through this in your coaching is learning to understand the game offensively. The spacing of the game, the puck protection is critical. Using their edges, using their hips. These things are really, really important, obviously. And as they begin to grow, then you can begin to implement some different sets and some different looks on a power play. One of the things is, as they do get a little bit older and you do start to formulate power plays, is that everybody's got to play the various positions on the power play. And you'll have players tell you, as they get older, one of the things that you have to, for lack of a better word, sell is when they say, I have to have the puck. I have to have the puck, which means they're either going to be at the top as the quarterback or on the midboard. They got to have the puck. But good power plays, all 5 people have to work together. And one of the things that I have really begun to recognize is the most important guy is the guy in the middle. We call him the facilitator. At one point, we're calling him a middle release, but guys would only simply use him as a middle release, and I'll show you what I mean with this. As we get into our set, you're going to have your midboard, and you're going to have your net front goal line presence. This is your facilitator. This is your middle option. You have your flank, and you have your quarterback up top. But these are the guys that are the hardest to sell because they want to be here. They might even want to be here, but mostly they want to be here. But this particular player has to be extremely intelligent. He's got to have good hands. He's got to understand puck support. He's got to know where everybody is. He's got to be able to pass the puck, and he actually has to be a shooter there as well. So as you begin to implement your power plays, as the kids get a little bit older, and you keep it sort of, you establish these sort of sets, if you will. It is really important that everybody gets a chance to play. It just can't be one player always playing the midboard. The 3 forwards, they all have to play in these positions to learn the positions. Or they might even play on the flank. This is Jerome McGinley. He plays in the flank for us because of his ability to shoot. And then we have a D up here, but it's good for the D to play different positions. Because what happens is, as you get older and the skill level on your team improves, you may not be the half-board player. And if you want to play in the power play, you may have to play in the goal line, which means you got to play in front of the net a little bit, or you got to play here in the middle, which doesn't feel as though you're getting a lot of activity, but you are. So, again, to stress, the most important thing at young ages is that they're learning offensive skills and offensive puck possession and the spacing. Donnie talked earlier about players that have all the skill, and then they can sort of dominate youth hockey, maybe because of their size or their skill. But the problem with that is, as they get older, they don't necessarily understand the spacing of the game. They don't understand the 2-on-1, the conceptual side of the 2-on-1 game. And it stagnates on them a little bit. So it's really important that with the small ice games, with the way we're developing players now in the United States, that they're learning these sort of offensive skills, which eventually will lend itself to having a power play that you can run from a variety of different sets and work towards that. So what we do is we do this 5-on-0. So when we get to training camp, everything's 5-on-0. We run through, we probably ultimately have 15 sort of different looks that we're trying to get. But to get to that look, let's say it's going to be a goal line attack. We start everything with pucks here on the midboard. But the reality of it is everybody has to be involved. Everybody's got to play a part of it. So what we do is it starts here to the middle, back to the midboard, down to the goal line, back to the midboard, middle, back, up top to our quarterback, across to the weak side, back. And then this forward has to escape, and it comes back to that board side forward. And then from there, we run our sets. I saw Pat Quinn do it years ago when he was coaching in Vancouver, and he had guys like Trevor Linden and Pavel Bure, and that's how they practiced. It was really interesting. So they ran through their sets that way. What we like about it is everybody's got to play a part in it. Everybody's got to touch the puck. Everybody's got to move. Everybody's got to adjust. Everybody has to be open. Because all 5 guys have to work together to run a good power play. This guy is critical. This guy is critical. And the days where this had to be a left-hander, and that had to be a left-hander, and that had to be a right-hander, actually having a right-hander there almost limits what your power play can do. Having a lefty there in a non-shooting, traditional shooting position is really effective. But the player has to have that sense. So what's important as you begin to establish power plays is that the kids learn next line up, next line goes out and plays. And they rotate from the goal line to the midboard to the middle, and they learn how to play it. Because there's no guarantee they're going to play midboard, they're going to play goal line, or they're going to be the quarterback up top when the pyramid gets tighter and tighter. So it's really important that they learn and they understand that. And like I said, when player says, I need to touch the puck, I need to have the puck, a good power play, they all have the puck. Everybody's touching it. And everybody's got to be a part of it. And that gets you back to, again, that player that growing up could skate through everybody, sort of play one-on-one. And you see it even in junior hockey. You see it in college hockey. But when they get to the higher levels and they don't understand that 2-on-1 game, they don't use people, the game's going to close off on them quickly. And it's going to be really difficult to play in a power play. So I think as we build power plays, these are some things to think about. And there's a lot of variety of ways to do power plays. You can do a box and 1 or a 2-3. You can do an overload. Traditionally now, we're walking into this sort of 1-3-1. And this presentation is based sort of on a 1-3-1, which a lot of teams utilize. But if you look at your books, I've got some things written down. You know, your goal of your power play is ultimately to establish momentum. And you have to be able to work. And again, that's where these small ice games and allowing the kids to play, in order to have the puck, you got to get it back. So not only are they learning offensive things, they're also learning puck pressure side of the game. Protecting the puck, getting the puck back as you have to. If power plays don't work, the penalty killing unit's going to work harder because they're down to 4. And it's usually the best 8 to 10 guys defensively on the other team, and they're going to work harder. So if you're not ready to get out there and work, you're going to have a difficult time with it. So you got to be ready to outwork the PK and have zone time. It's about establishing momentum. You may not always score, but it will change the momentum of the game, getting you some touches and getting your team into the flow of the game. Quick puck movement. That's the biggest thing. You got to break down the PK. So you work the puck low to high, high to low, into the seams, around the box. That's going to get your penalty killers to contract, to expand, and then you're going to open up lanes, and then you got to trust your guys are going to take advantage of those lanes. So like I said, what we try to do is we run our options, and what we do is we have 2 different rinks. So we take each unit out, and we go to our secondary rink, and we run through our 5-on-0 options. And the idea behind it is to get everyone involved, to touch the puck, and then to run an attack out of it. And what it does do is it gets everybody the confidence to know that they're involved. And you could run a lot of different things out of it. And this guy in particular, because when you're under a lot of pressure, he's got to be the release point. Whether the top D-man's getting pressure, you're getting pinched on the boards, down in the corner, he's got to be the release. And a lot of things can open up from there. And not just a shooter. But a lefty can shoot there. A left-hander can shoot. It's all about footwork and positioning and edges. And these are all the things that kids are learning at young ages with the skill games, with a lot of skill work. They're learning those instinctive pieces that you're going to need as you get a little bit older. And obviously you want to generate shots in your power play. And you have to have net front presence. And this is what you run into here with your player along the goal line. He's got to be that guy that's got to get to the front of the net. And then you have these secondary layers. And again, this middle option, he becomes your secondary layer in the middle of the rink. So you run through some different things. You have face-offs, you have breakouts. And like I said to you, it's true. We will do this preparation for our club. And it is, you wouldn't expect it. With our video work from the game, our prep for our opponent, posting everything up so there's no questions. And like I said, you're going to get into the game And you're going to have a power play 2.5 minutes into the game, and one of your young guys is likely to turn around and say, Timmy, where am I going? Where do you want me? So you got to be patient too, and understand that you just got to keep banging home at these elements. But coaching at the NHL level sometimes is not much different than coaching younger kids. They're more skilled and they're older and they're bigger, but it's the same type of thing. They still have the same quirks that younger players have. And you can tell when we haven't done, as we get deep into our schedule and we don't practice as much, and you're relying a lot on video and obviously the games, we get more rusty. We lose a little bit of our rhythm because we're not doing the things that we need to do. And we get that first break and we get them back out there to do some of this 5-on-5 movement. It gets them back into a rhythm. It gets everybody involved. It can get really stagnant, a power play. The other thing with a power play is even the best power plays in the National Hockey League, you're looking at, say, Washington and San Jose, traditionally always very, very good. Power plays are really streaky. You can go 8 or 9 games and you're on fire. You feel like you're going to score. You're going to score every time you go out there. And then right after that, it can get away from you and you go 6, 7 games without getting anything. It's really streaky. Power plays are really, really streaky. So you got to get back to your basics, get back to your sets, and then ultimately the reason behind it is what you want to do is you're not so much telling them what to do. You're providing them with options. And when they get out there, it's their responsibility, because they're good players, to read the play and take advantage of it and to give them that confidence. The other side of coaching is if a player is struggling, you got to keep putting him out there. He's got to figure it out. If you think he's the particular player to play that spot, you got to get him out there, and you've got to get him to work out the kinks. He's going to make mistakes. It's good. He's going to figure it out that way. But once we get to this level, you're putting guys to where their strengths are. But as youth coaches and coaching younger players, it's trying to give all of them the opportunity to play any position and have an opportunity to play in a power play at some point. And they may end up being penalty killers, you don't know. But that's the object in developing a power play at a young age group. So I list some breakouts and entries, but we won't get to that. One thing we do with breakouts, and for instance, if you're coaching a Pee Wee team, your best thing might be just do a regular 5-on-5 breakout until you feel you got enough skill that you can add some things. We have 6 or 7 different breakouts. We name them. And then so for the middle of the game, we need to make an adjustment because of the way the penalty kill is adjusted to us. We can just yell out. We might be running a 5-up, and then we can say, okay, we're going to go 3-2 drop. So as the guys go out, you can yell 3-2 drop. We're going to do 3-2 drop. And the guys know exactly what they're going to do. So it helps simplify for us so that we can make adjustments during the game. But we can't give them 6 or 7 different breakouts right away. We have to build into it to get to that point over the course of the year, and then add little wrinkles to it as we move along. But that's what we do with our breakouts. And then obviously we won't get into that, but your setup again is your point man. He's your quarterback. He's going to run your power play. Your half boards, and these two guys are really aligned with each other because they are going to have the puck the most, and they have to work well together, and they have to read off of each other. They have to have some chemistry. And you can see here, it doesn't have to be a lefty. This is Nathan McKinnon. We put him as a right-hander here because it gives him better passing seams. He seems to pass better coming off on his forehand. It's an easier play down for the goal line, and he's dangerous coming off here shooting. But we play Matt Duchesne there, and he's a lefty. And we might play Blake Como here, and you'll see in a couple of clips he's a right shot. So it gives us a different threat. But he's got a good sense of what he needs to do in that position. So this is your flank. He's your shooter. He's got to move up and down the back door. He has got to read what's going on this side of the ice. It's like the Phil Jackson, the old triangle offense. And you got to have people moving up and down the back door. He's got to know where to be, and he's got to be available to the puck wherever it happens to be. So he's got to be a smart player. And if he gets isolated over here, he's got to be able to make plays. He's got to have the dexterity to make plays because he will get isolated more than the guys on this side. He can get isolated because he doesn't have the support right away off the goal line. So he's got to have the dexterity to make plays. And then this is your middle option. He's multidimensional. And it's become far more than just shooters. I remember when I was coaching in Anaheim years ago, Chicago had a guy named Eric Daze played right there. And he was the one guy I remember there was a lefty that could shoot from that position and get his feet around it and was really dangerous. But traditionally, it would always be an off shot in that pocket. But I think it's evolved now where this is a really smart player. And again, it gets back to somebody like Alex Tanga who played there, who wants to play on the midboard. As a coach, it's your responsibility now to tell him, this is why we need you there. This is why we need you, and you need to get him involved. And the power play has to work through him as well. So all 5 guys got to be critical on your power play. So I'm just going to let this run for a second. And you'll see Tyson Barrie move along the blue line here. And this is these are the things you begin to teach. His feet are up ice, which is really critical. A lot of D will all of a sudden start to turn, and their back is turned now to the flank. So the only options they have are to shoot or right come back to the midboard, which the penalty kills will read off it. But you got to have your guys move across the blue line with their feet open because the pass is available to the flank, the midboard. He can hit off his inside edge here on his left foot and shoot quickly. He can take a slap, a quick slapper. He could take a quick wrister. But his feet and head have to be up ice. Alexei Kovalev, who played a tremendous career and was in Pittsburgh for a long time, he could always play with his feet outside the blue line, which is difficult to do because it's, guys get nervous with the puck tight to the blue line like that. But if you can get your feet out here, you're going to buy yourself about 5 more feet of ice and a little bit more room to move the puck around the penalty killers. So it's good movement here. So these are little elements that we try to teach. As he walks, you'll see here the middle release now. So if you have a righty here, there were times where this player may just be standing there because all he thinks he wants to do is shoot. But this is Alex Tanga, a very, very intelligent player. He knows to make himself available to the puck. So that's why that middle guy is so important. He's always got to be available to the puck. He's always a little bit of a release. And now it's a little one touch, and you see these seams now are going to open up. This pass isn't going to make it. It's going to go through. Iggy's going to get a little bit low, but we got good net front position. Once you have possession up here, you got to have traffic at the net front because the goalies are too good. If they see it, they're going to stop it. So it's really, when there's trouble, he may have to drop off to the goal line. If you have clear possession, you can play a little bit tighter to the goal line. He's got to read off the defenseman's stick. Defenseman sticks in the lane, he may have to move out just subtly. But he's got to have his feet up above the goal line. But once you got clear possession up top, he's got to get to the net front. We call that the primary traffic. This is a secondary layer. That would be our man in the middle. And you see, just by that little movement, the pass won't make it. If Iggy just stayed a little bit further back, the pass would have got there. But you understand you're not going to always score in your power play, but you understand what we're trying to do conceptually with moving the puck. So quick puck movement, everybody's touching the puck, you're going to spread the play, and you're going to make the penalty killers work. 5-man unit has to work together. Everybody has to work together. You want to force the penalty killing to move. And power plays run into trouble when they get stagnant and they stop moving. They stop moving the puck. Little kick back here. So there's ways to get to the middle. And it is imperative that the quarterback establish the middle of the ice. Because once you can get to the middle and you have possession, it's going to make everybody back off a little bit. So you can do it with a wide D to D pass, or you could skate with it. And here you see Eric Johnson makes a pass to Francois Beauchemin, and now it's going to come back in here, and you've run your penalty killers. You've been able to establish possession, use the width of the rink, and now you're going to get it back here to the middle with possession. So the wide D to D pass or move to the middle, but you got to at some point establish the middle of the rink. Because if you stay tight to the wall and your point man stays tight to the wall, you're going to get pressure. And once that puck moves down the midboard, that strong side D is coming really hard. And it's going to pinch him off. It's going to pinch, and then this forward's going to press, and they're going to pinch the midboard off. And once they do that, then it's imperative that you get your middle option here. But you got to try to establish the middle. And if you notice, we have Jerome play one unit as an off shot, a one-timer. But Frank Beauchemin is very good on his onside playing this way. So there's no set position for anyone. There's no rule that it has to be 2 lefties and a righty as the forwards off this side of the rink. Frank is very, very good on this side. So now as he walks down, it comes back to Eric Johnson, and now we have the middle set up. And they got to read off of the penalty killers at this point. So what's the next option from here, would you think? Where should you go with the puck now? Right to the, you could shoot, or you go right to the flank, because that's what's open now. But you'd be surprised. And that's what we do in our pre-scouts is what do teams like to do? Some teams like to eye up. Some teams will, with Jerome, they'll take Jerome away right away because they don't want to give us the shot. So they'll pressure Tyson, they'll take Jerome away, which means you got to go back to the midboard. If not, you'll force it into traffic. Now it comes back to Eric Johnson. And now you see you commit. He holds it, he commits that top forward. Now it can come here to the midboard. It's Carl Soderberg. And what's nice here is this is very, very important. These are just little simple skills that are so critical that the kids learn by just playing. You see, he gets it here, and there's just a little shift of his hands just to sell it. So he sucks everybody back inside. And it's going to open up the pass to the point again. But what the man in the middle does is he occupies people as well. So now their F2, their weak side forward, has got to drop in because you could run a little bit of a high tip right here. That's John Mitchell, a left shot. So it gives you a different option. So they're going to drop in, so it's going to open up different things on your power play. By using everybody, you make the penalty killers respond to it. And now it opens up back up, and you got your one-timer, and it's a clean shot. Dutchie came off to the goal line. He should have stayed in front because Carl really didn't need him at that point, but it was a bullseye by EJ. But the movement up top, going width of the rink, bringing it back to the middle, EJ's feet up ice, and then just these little instinctive things that players you acquire with trust and trust in your skill. Just that little push on your forehand, and then just change your passing angle, opens up the pass to the point. And these are things that, not just in power play drills, but you do drills down low, cycling. And it's about puck protection, getting people on your hips. But it's changing passing angles. And it's just like in football, the receiver has to find the spot as well. So you have to work in conjunction. So the wonder of allowing kids to play small area games and learning, it teaches them so much instinctively about the game. And as they get older, their skills will play out and they'll find their positioning. But as the kids begin to play power plays, you give everybody these chances. You give everybody these opportunities. You teach them the roles on the power play. You give them every opportunity, and then you'll see, as they get older, where it's going to play out for them. But that's the responsibility. You might be in a Pee-wee level, and you don't think they're ready for sets. You just let them go play. Let them go play 5-on-4 like they're playing 5-on-5. Let them go figure it out. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. Give them options, give them sets, and then they got to read it and take advantage of it. Now you see, again, walk to the middle, spread it out. This is Frank right here. Good play. We got middle option. He's occupied their F2. So sometimes the other sell to a player is, you're not getting the puck, but people are coming to you. You're opening things up for other guys. And then you'll see here it goes over to Frank, and you look at Duchesne, who's on the goal line, and he's going to make his way to the net front. But you got all this nice 1-3-1, and having a lefty on this side gives you a little different option. And he can walk. Duchesne makes his way to the front of the net and tips, and a nice tip goal. But that's spreading the play, using everyone, using the width of the ice, getting the penalty killers to move, getting the penalty killers to respond, and then taking advantage of the lanes. It's a good clip from Montreal. It's alert off a face-off. Oftentimes we put 4 guys up. Sometimes it will depend. We're reading how we're doing in face-offs in a game, who's taking the face-offs. If you play in Nashville and Gostad's in the box, you may try something different off a face-off. These are all things that you think about, but we like to put a 4th guy up, so anything loose we can jump on. That's your face-off awareness. And you'll see that Jerome, who's the flank, He's the guy that we move up. He's able to jump on the loose puck. If he's not up there, it might be a one-on-one battle. He might lose it. And once you lose possession, it goes down the ice. It's a good probably 15, 20 seconds before two clears can kill one unit on the power play. It's going to be about 40, 45 seconds. So you save yourself 20 seconds, and you can get right into your sets. And you see here, they get pressure. Because Jerome is the player that kept it alive, but you look at Tyson's body, again, his feet outside the blue line, chest up, feet up, he can do anything from here. And he's going to carry it because he gets pressure, comes up and around, and now the thing is everybody has to support in a different spot, but you got to hit that 1-3-1 at some point. So Jerome ends up top right now. Comes over to Dutchy, and now we get in our movement. Now you work off this goal line situation. One of the things that we try to do is when it goes goal line, this particular player that's coming off the midboard come inside the defender, not outside the defender, because he's going to steer to the outside. If you come inside the defender into the interior of the ice, you're going to maybe commit him a little bit, or certainly if they send the pass through and it gets through, you got a good chance to redirect the puck towards the net. Dutchy's going to come in here, and he kind of takes himself out of the play. Just another little teaching element. But it'd be nice to have him come this way. It may back that D off, or it may allow him to get the puck. Up top, now we switch back. Now you see this kind of pressure. Again, you see they're trying to take away our flank, so it can come back to the midboard. You have different options. And you look at the man in the middle. He's nice and tight now. Now he's available, and he's occupying that F2, that weak side forward. Some guys, and again, it's what your strengths are, your awareness. You'll see guys play the middle, but they end up here. And we end up at that point with three guys up high, and we lose possession, we lose numbers. We lose numbers around the puck. But you have that good sense. You see a nice positioning right here. Patience, back up. So again, you see how his feet are up ice, so he can do anything from here. Back midboard, there's an attack, and now Dutchy can drop off. And with the stick in that lane, Dutchy's got to drop a little bit further off to the goal line. That's a read. If the stick's inside and you commit it, you can hold your ground right in front. You can provide a screen, and you can still make a play from the net front. Tries to make a quick pass out to Grigorenko in the middle, but we get a good shot out of it. Now, loose pucks. Power plays, it's critical for your power play, and you lose pucks. You got to go get pucks. You got to jump on pucks. You got to go get them. You got to jump on them. Now you got to have numbers there. You got to have two guys in there. You got to have a third guy right here tight to support, because you got to work to get the puck back. And that is an element with high skill guys, power play guys, to understand is they got to go get that puck back, and they got to come up with it. Because if you win the battle, then you've got the penalty killers at a real disadvantage. We come up with it. They try to clear it. Dutchy actually gets cut. But now we got possession, and they're scrambling back into position. Now you'll see here, again, the man in the middle, he's available to Nate. We go wide D to D to spread the ice out. And now watch his movement. He comes back into a position to be available to the puck. So you get some different opportunities out of it. First, he's here to support Nate. But once it makes its way around, he's got to find that little pocket right in here. He's got to be available again. Always find the puck, always be available. One of the things that you'll find when you have sort of established positions, it's not uncommon to have a battle on this side, and this player wants to play the midboard. He automatically comes over here and waits. But he's got to be in tune. He's got to be in the game with everybody else. So he may have to fill the middle until you get possession and you get set. Then you can go back to what you're trying to accomplish. But it gets to the point where everybody's got to be able to play everywhere. Everybody's got to be able to play everywhere. Good chance out of it. We stay on it. Little play to the net. Rotation. Again, you see his feet move up ice. There's your seam. And again, now that he's been involved in the play, Dutchy tried to make a play to him at the net front. We had used him for a one-timer on this side. It occupies that weak side forward. And traditionally, you want a lefty here, but having a righty, that seam pass is on the forehand. It's an easier pass to make. A left-hander is limited to split the seams, like a right-hander on his onside can. So mixes with tradition. Good movement, back up. And you see you work the puck around, you got them scrambling, you put the puck to the net, and then that net front guy has to get to the net looking for the rebound. So those are the things that we're trying to work on, different sets. But it's, as you can see, everybody's got to be involved. And to have a good power play, all 5 guys have to do it. And what we do also is you have 2 or 3 extra guys that take reps too. They have to take reps when you're doing a 5-on-0, when you're doing it in practice. They also have to take reps. Because if things happen, penalties, injuries, this particular, whoever you're going to put out has to be up to speed. And they have to know what you're doing immediately on the bench and what's happening. So we don't limit it, and that's why it's good to have a lot of guys involved in it so that everybody can play. And if you need certain people, because certain things have happened in a game, and it's a big power play, you can insert somebody right away, but they've been there, they've taken reps. Any questions at all so far? Any questions? How are we doing? We getting tired? Sleepy? Long weekend, isn't it? Long weekend. I know it's a long weekend, but it's great that you're here. It's fun for me to be here as well, to interact and to think about things a little bit. I've always felt that as a coach, think out of the box a bit. Don't always give way to tradition. Think on your own, make things up. You talk about practices and you talk about drills. You'll watch a game and you'll make up a drill because of it. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be something that you saw somebody present. It's what's unique to you and your team and what you're trying to teach. All the stuff there's nothing set. There's nothing set in stone. But be innovative, trust your instincts, and get players to extend themselves and to come out of their comfort zone. So even when you have a player that thinks he should be in this position, let's say, and you're talking power play, in today's world, before that, you need to have connected with that player. Times have changed quite a bit. Millennials are quite different. I'm a baby boomer, and society is changing, social media is changing, but people are still people. That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed. We're in a presidential election right now. Some people are on one side, some people on the other side. But ultimately, we're all Americans, and whoever's going to be in the White House, America always figures it out. Because people are people, people haven't changed. So ultimately, as a coach, and Donnie mentioned it, it is really important that you get to know your players as players and as people. It doesn't matter what age group. I just did a hockey camp with my boys. They run a hockey camp in Rhode Island, and with a couple of their buddies. And I went down, I just kind of helped them out. Because what they don't know is how crazy the locker room is when you leave 7 to 12-year-olds in the locker room by themselves. It's a gong show, right? So I'm kind of in charge of that. I'm in charge of tying skates and making sure there's peace in the locker room. And but even at that, even in a week period, and kids are paying to come to your hockey camp, you have to get to know them a little bit and know what, you've got kids out there making snow angels at 8 years old, and you got kids out there at 8-year-olds that got a pretty good grip on what's happening. They got pretty good instincts. So it's really easy to say, okay, I'm going to concentrate on the 8-year-old that can skate, can handle a puck, but the little guy or girl that's out there making snow angels, you got to figure out how you're going to get to them. Some of them like Star Wars, and this Pokemon game is out of its mind right now. Kids are running out of the rink to go find Pokemon. I don't get it, but I had to keep them inside the rink. God forbid anything happened. So that's what I'm resigned to at hockey camp. But it's your responsibility. And so when you're tying a little guy's skates, you got to ask, what do you like? you play baseball, do you play, you like the Red Sox, or you like the Yankees, or, you play soccer. What movies do you like? Did you like Star Wars? All this kind of stuff, Spider-Man. Because it does create a connection with them. And then when you actually go to teach them and coach them, you have something there. It's no different as the levels move up. And it does help you because they do have a lot of outside influences. But we all did. Let's face it, we all did. Maybe it's greater now. I don't know if it's any greater than it was. It was more underneath the radar then. It's more out there now. But I don't honestly believe it was any different. That's why it is the way it is now. But if you can connect with a player and players as people and as athletes, and ultimately you create that relationship where the two of you are working together, so that particular player can not only become a better individual player, but that he fits and has an important role on your team. Now you can do things. And now you can take players that don't want to play here, and you can show them the importance of it and how much it means. And then it's your responsibility when you're doing meetings is to express what they did to help whatever area you're working on, this particular case, the power play, have some success. Off a face-off, quick up. Again, you see Frank move, little pass, and now we get in our set again. Carl Soderberg is really good. He likes to stay tighter to the net, but Braun's stick is inside, so it allows him to do that. These are all the little nuances that you pick up the more you play. The young, they won't be able to rationalize it, but they'll see it. They won't pass because the stick's there. Probably won't necessarily be able to tell you that when they're 8, 7, 8, 9 maybe, but eventually they'll be able to figure it out. And eventually they'll be able to move and say, okay, I got to get a stick in there so I can make that play. But you get into your rotation, you can look, because Alex is so good in the middle, you can see the overcommitment right here. You can see how much this side of the ice is available now. So there's always a reaction to every action. You see how tight he is to the puck? Move it back up, and because of this, because you beat the flush, and these are the things you look at in penalty killing. If there's a flush, what's going to happen? Generally, this weak side forward is going to run up at the point, and it's going to open up the flank. It's going to open it up. If he holds and starts to cheat toward the flank, well, then we're going to take a shot from the middle if we beat the flush. But these are the things that we try to do in a pre-scout of what to expect. Here we probably hold it a little bit too long, but again, there's your flush, and there's your reaction from your F2. So F1 flushes, F2's got to react. This side of the ice is wide open now. And now we've switched a little bit, but we're able to work it to one side, back to the other side. You can see the penalty killers scrambling to get back. And now you attack off the boards, you commit that net front D, and now it opens up the play to the goal line in this particular case. We don't even have anybody in the middle because Iggy's drifted out and Ward's still holding the middle. So you could have a quick jam off the goal line, or you could have a pass to the backside. And that backside guy, when he goes, he's got to get to the side of that net. He's got to get to that post. He's got to stop down there and look for the puck. And that's what's going to happen. Good pass, good goal. Now, we didn't score in every power play this year. You might think we did, but we didn't. We didn't. But, again, you're not going to always, but it is about momentum. And, the other side of it is I coached Adam Oates in Washington for 5 years, and he's probably the smartest player that I've ever been, or most brilliant player, kind of a genius, really. And but for Adam, it was getting touches too. So it was touching the puck, even if our power play didn't score. So you call that success. He needed to get the puck and get a feel, and it allows guys to get into the game too. So good power plays, we get back to creating momentum on the power play. Good power plays allow your skill guys to get into the game. And that's important, because it is important that they have to have success 5-on-5. Good power plays create momentum, and they score timely goals. Timely goals. I think back to Game 6, Tampa and Pittsburgh. and the Drouin goal was called back. Pittsburgh had a 5-on-3. It was a little bit ugly. But they ended up scoring. Kessel ended up scoring. It wasn't a goal that you would put in a highlight film, but it was a huge goal. And they had a couple clears. They had to get back in. They had to work at it. But it probably, that with the offsides call against Drouin, it probably changed the series at that point. So power plays will score timely goals, and it doesn't have to be pretty. But it does allow guys to get into the game. It's very, 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 very important. Very, very important. When we work with it and we do our 5-on-0s, we take sort of a football mentality. So we have the 2 rinks. We do 5-on-0. We might even just take the 3 forwards out, might just take the 2D out to work on footwork, to work on options, bring them together, and then we bring the group together to run our 5-on-4 against live action. So it allows them to build and get a feel, and it is true, when we're moving the puck and we're doing our 5-on-0s and we find our rhythm, we're much better when we get in the game. We will stagnate. We'll stagnate when guys aren't getting their touches. And it gets really slow, and guys hold on to the puck, and they want to make a perfect play, and it just doesn't work. The penalty killing units are too good. Face-offs, again, kind of a lost draw, but you're ready to jump. You got to come out with a purpose on a face-off. You can attack, get into your set. Certainly if you lose it, you got to be ready to jump and get on it, and it will be particular what the opposition might be doing. Goes up and over. So again, up and over, you spread the play out, and you look at now the seams. You got a forward coming up, you got a forward coming out wide, and you look at these seams. Iggy's going to hold it here. It could go right now, one touch right there. And that might be something that we show the next day. Holds it a little bit, but you see Nate's positioning, like we just saw with Grigorenko earlier. He's right here available to Iggy, which commits that weak side forward. Now you make the pass through, back to the weak side, and you'll see, look at Nate's position. He comes all the way through, slides into this little area, and he gets a good shot opportunity out of it. We got traffic right in front, and you see Iggy come down the backside, stop at the post. Everybody's whacking at the rebounds, and this is what you want. You want primary layer of traffic, which is your net front guy. Your man in the middle, your middle option is your secondary layer, so if it goes out and beyond him, he's jumping on it here, so Nate's sliding in to whack at it. You've got Tanguay coming in from a side to the first post. You got Iggy coming down on the second post. And you hack away, whack at it, you end up getting a rebound. A lot of good elements in that. And it's getting everybody to recognize that. Your guy in the goal line, he's got to get to the net front. And that's the biggest thing, is that if you're going to score in today's game at any level, you got to get to the net. And you're going to get hit, and you're going to get whacked, and you're going to get pounded on, you're going to get hit with pucks, but you've got to get to the net. And goalies are too good as the levels move to let them see shots with nothing in front of them. This goal line guy is huge. He's got to be able to make plays off the goal line. He's got to know when to support the midboard, when he's under pressure, and when it gets up top, he has got to be willing to get to the net front, because a lot will open up from that. So when you're doing skill work, it's tipping. It's tipping drills. How to get the seat of your pants in front of the goalie. How to move along the goal line. How to tip. One of the things that does amaze me, even in the NHL, is guys will get in front and to tip, and they don't tip off their backhand. They don't tip off their forehand. Their stick's in front, and if the puck is coming here, they're tipping it like this. They're actually tipping the puck wide. And if it's on the backhand side, they can't tip it because they're trying to do this. It is a skill. And you see the great guys at the net front. They're in front. Seat of the pants is in front of the goalie's eyes. They're moving with them, and the stick's right in front of them. Might be off the ice, might be on the ice. You can let the puck go through. You can tip forehand. You can tip backhand. You can pass from that position. But just teaching how to get to the net, how to battle for position, how to tip a puck, how to hit your edges to find a rebound. It's huge. That's just a skill. That's a practice drill. That's a post-pack practice drill. And you'd be surprised. And I am amazed watching guys tip, and the use of the blade of their stick is off. And a lot of people don't want to get there. And that's got to start at a young age. But how are you going to get position in front of the net? That's a huge skill. Where's your stick? Are you available? You're going to let the puck go. You're going to shift your feet along the crease to take the goalie sight lines away. So you may not be working on power play necessarily, but by working on skill work, you're creating elements for the power play, just changing stick angles. You're working a little cycle drill, and puck comes to, let's say you play the puck down here, and you pick the puck up in this area, let's say, and guys, the goalie stick might be out, and we'll pass, and you'll have maybe a player standing right here. So the stick is right in the lane between the puck and the open player. Joe Pavelski's unreal. Side to side, he always finds these little pockets. He's unreal. And a guy like Joe Thornton, he sees that, extends his hands. He's a lefty, extends his hands around the stick. Pavelski reads it, makes a pass. 5-on-5, 5-on-4, whatever it is. That's skill work. That's knowing the game. It's understanding the game. It's knowing how to play. Small area games are wonderful for it. Teaching it, doing drills, because that's going to lend itself to the power play. I do agree. Systems are a framework, a body to play a game. So everybody's organized, and everybody's on the same page, and you have a game plan. You put things in place. How are you going to play in your own end? How are you going to forecheck? It's never going to be perfect in hockey. It's just not. It's too fast. It's not like football. You don't get a whistle and call in a new play. You don't get a new pitch like baseball. You don't have the chance to realign your infielders, the shift. Like the Astros, I think they shift more than anyone now. You don't have that. It's quick, so you got to read and react. So the template gives your team some organization to protect each other, to insulate each other, to put pressure on the opposition. When you get the puck offensively, now your instincts take over. Yes, there's game management. That's different than systems. Game management's different than systems. 1-1 game with 3 minutes to go, or you're up 1-0, 8 minutes to go in a game, and it's a 3-on-3. You don't want to try to be beat stick handling through defensemen at the blue line. You want game management there. But in that situation, I think Peter Laviolette talked about it, entries, there are things that you can do with the puck that are plays, but are safe. But learning puck protection, getting to the net, changing stick angles, being available to the puck, that all comes from getting the puck back, protecting the puck. That allows you to trust your instincts when you get in a game, and then when we specifically talk about a power play, it allows you to talk about playing on the power play. We do a thing we call the pit. So we do it every day after practice. We put a glove here and a glove there, and it's a one-on-one in this area. And we mix the players up accordingly. And it's not necessarily two guys, two skilled guys. It might be Cody McLeod going with Matt Duchesne. The guy in the pit has to protect the puck between the gloves. He can't come out of there. He's got to hold the puck as long as he can on the boards, and the off player is trying to dislodge him from the puck and get the puck back. And it's a great drill because inevitably they'll say, well, I want to take it to the net, which we eventually will build to. But the idea behind it is to hold the puck as long as you can, to protect it as long as you can, to use your hips. Because offensively, you want to get the defender on a hip, and then you want to spin the other way. You want to draw that defender, you want to cut up the boards, you get him on your outside hip, you quickly hit your edges, you go back the other way. So we're trying to teach them how to protect and to hold it as long as you can, because in a game, you might be on the boards out of your own end. You might be in zone. You're waiting for the cavalry to come. You're waiting to get some help. You just don't want to turn the puck over. The other player is learning how to take the puck away. You see guys get all wrapped up, right? Their hands are up in the glass, and they're all out of whack. So even if they get the puck loose, they can't make a play on it. So you teach two hands in your stick. If he's back to you, you can't obviously cross-check him, so you got to push him on his hips, push him hard, pick at his stick. Now when you dislodge it, you can make a play. So even a simple drill like that has so many elements in it for us for 5-on-5 play and 5-on-4 play. And these are the things that we want to continue. Even at the National Hockey League level, we got to keep honing the skills. Jerome McGinley does it every day with us. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He does it every single day. And he needs it. And when guys don't do it, they lose their edge. They lose their quickness. I'm going to show you just a couple more clips and then open up to any questions. Again, you see Tyson move to the middle. His feet are up. He loses it for a split second. But because of the pressure out to the flank, to the middle, it comes right here back to the midboard. Great possession here, positioning from our middle option. You'll see because the sticks are in the lane, Gabe drops off a little bit more. Here's a little bit of a flush. This is occupied right now because they are concerned as Blake Como is a right shot. They're a little bit concerned. This guy also has to know which hip is he playing off on. But you beat the flush, and because this weak side forward was preoccupied with Blake, it opens up the one-timer. The important thing is, you'll see Gabe right here, he's going to make his way back through. He's not going to get completely in front of the shot, in front of the goalie. But just moving in that lane disrupts the goalie enough where the puck beats him. So again, that goal line player has got to get to the net front. So those are some of the things that we try to run, how we try to break down the specific areas of the game for them. And the big thing is if they get out of position, if Nate McKinnon's supposed to be on the midboard, but for some reason the puck ends up over here, let's say, well, he's got to become the man in the middle. They all have to understand the importance of it and how the 5-man unit works together. So you start young. You maybe just let them go out. At the young ages, they're playing cross ice anyway or half ice. Maybe around Pee Wee level, you just let them go play 5-on-4 like it's 5-on-5. We do a regular breakout. Then you begin to run some sets. My only recommendation is when you start to run some sets, do things 5-on-0, make them change positions, make them move, make them rotate, and make them move the puck before they can run an option. And I do know that will work because when my kids were younger, we started to do these things when they were peewees. We started to do those type of things with them when they were peewees. And they could handle it. It was simple, but they could handle it. And they learned how to move the puck. And then from there you begin to build, and as the levels move up, you want kids to be able to play in every position. And like I said, because you may not be the goal line guy, you may not be big enough, you may not want to go to the net, but you're skilled enough, maybe it is the middle, maybe it is the midboard, maybe it is the flank, maybe you shoot hard enough. But these things will allow kids to have more opportunity when the time comes. And then as you get much older and you're putting power plays together, then you're going to gear it towards specific skills and strengths, and that's a different animal by that point. But hopefully someone's not limited by their inability to play somewhere because they always relied on, I have to be the guy with the puck. I have to have the puck. And be patient because you're going to do things just like happens with us. Hey, Timmy, where am I supposed to go? And you hope that they know, and it's the middle of a game, and your heart's jumping upside down because you can't believe that you're being asked that question, but you got to provide the answer. You got to provide an answer. So we got a couple minutes. I do appreciate your time. I hope you got something out of it. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions whatsoever? Yes.
Yes, I noticed in the national power play when it went back to the near side D. I noticed there was an opening to go to that far side winger because the winger guarding the strong side defenseman was caught going the other way.
Exactly.
So I think one of the things to pay attention to is notice which way they're skating because you would have caught him. You would have broken his ankles just by sending that pass far side as going in.
Yep.
But against Montreal in this power play, I noticed that the midboard winger had an opportunity to maybe go goal line and then set it up for a cross pass that far side defenseman.
Absolutely.
How frequently is that used where you'll
Not as frequent as you think, but like we scored the goal against San Jose, it will happen. That's why you want to have a number of different options so that they can read and they determine what's. The one thing that I have found over the years is that if you tell them, you run a special play and you tell them what you want to do, they're going to try it all the time, even at the NHL level.
And I noticed on this power play specifically, just a little bit earlier, you had a guy down near the goal line. I guess it was a lefty because his stick was on the other side. But I guess I noticed that when I think it was Johnson took that one-timer there, I noticed that forward was barreling toward him and probably could have blocked it with a sliding block. But again, I just thought there was an opportunity to maybe go down to the goal.
Absolutely.
Set Johnson up there at one-timer.
There's always lots of different options, always different, and you want to present those options. Well, anything else?
Tim, you had two quick questions here.
Yes.
One, do you practice a 6-on-4 pulled goalie power play?
Yes, we do. And the interesting thing with the 6-on-4 is we run this setup, if you will, but if the puck happens to be, if the puck is set on this side, we set we'll call him F4, the guy that's out for the pulled goalie, he plays off the second post. Because what we have found, it may sound crazy, we've tried to put him at the net front sometimes, but he runs interference on our goal line guy. He also takes away our middle option. We put him over here because we can release sides and come up that side from behind the net. Or if we do pucks to the net, he's right there for any loose change. But we tried to get him out of the way to kind of run a 5-on-4 set, but he's there for loose pucks and any loose rebounds on that side of the net. 6-on-4.
And then the other question is, how do you practice 5-on-4 with your team since your penalty kill knows your power play and they want to cheat?
It's a good thing. And that's a good thing for you because, again, like I said, if you tell your power play before the game, we're going to run this play tonight. This is what we want to do. This is how we're going to attack LA. Because this is what they do. This is what we're going to do. I'm telling you, if they're standing in that lane, we're going to try and make that play. And they're going to come back to the bench, and just like they say to me when they go on the bench, Timmy, which way do you want me to turn? They're going to say to me, Timmy, you told me to make that pass. Get it? So the biggest thing is, again, it's great to work against your own penalty kill because they know your options. So you got to really work on spacing and puck possession and supporting. You got to think outside the box. You have got to play the power play. You're on the power play, you got to be able to think it. It makes them really think and utilize all these elements that we talked about.
All right. Tim, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Tim Army.